Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the One Eye Scout live show, powered by the Brunch Spot in Converse, Texas, and Affordable Haulers. I'm Kevin Howell here with my right hand man, Mr. Philip Townsend. And tonight, we're honored to bring on Coach Chris Wright, the head coach of Langston University men's basketball. Coach Wright has been building a culture of winning and accountability, and we're going to break it down, get his philosophy, player development, and share the good news of Langston. Hey, Coach
Cat,
Wright, thanks for being the. Yeah.
cat, hold it. No. Lions, L's up, where you at? We're talking Coach Chris Wright. No, we're talking about, I'm not even going to say the second coming. I don't want to offend anybody, but I'm telling you, Langston, 1 and 27 when he came, been in the doldrums for years. This guy has done nothing but resurrected the program and turned it into a national powerhouse. And look, we are so pleased and happy to have him. I mean, it is just amazing what he and his coaching staff have done there, and we are so appreciative. Um, Coach Wright is everything to Langston.
Phil,
well,
man, I appreciate the kind words, man. I might need to hire you as my agent.
Phil loves you, man. He talks about the program all the time. But, Phil talked about it, touched on it already. But talk about the culture in college basketball, but talk about the culture there at Langston.
So for us, everything that we do is built on a few principles. You know, um, we talk about toughness a lot in our program. I really believe that the toughest team always wins. I don't think we've ever lost a game where we've been the tougher team. Throughout my 22 years of college basketball. Um, we're built on toughness, discipline, and unselfishness. And obviously, if you can have those three things, and you have really good players, I believe that's the formula to win a lot of games in college basketball.
Coach,
Yeah,
no, Cat.
you got it.
Just staying with that culture, and we're talking now character. I noticed you got a Hall of Famer, Eric, there, uh, working with your program, doing that. Tell us just how valuable that has been.
Man, it's been awesome. So I met Eric Harris. His nickname's Rev. He's also our campus pastor at Langston for 6 years. Rev was the first ever Hall of Famer, or excuse me, the first team All American here at Langston. After the first year here, he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, and man, he's an unbelievable person. He is a great mentor for young men. He's been a great friend to me. He's connected us to so many different alumni, past, present, that have played here. And so, his worth to our program is really invaluable.
Yeah. So, and staying in that culture piece, what's some of the non-negotiables in the program? We talked about toughness, but how do you draw that toughness? You recruit toughness, uh, and how do you keep building that toughness?
For us, and I think so much of being tough, I really do. I think it's a skill, right? And obviously, you like to have guys that kind of inherently have it. But, I think you get tough by doing hard things, you know, over and over and over again. And so for us, it's just, man, we want to be at a national championship standard every day, whatever it is we do. Obviously, if it's practice, we want to have a certain consistency about that. If it's, we're getting things done in the film room, we want to have a certain consistency with that. And so I think it's just being and demanding your people's absolute best day in and day out.
Go ahead, Phil.
Well, Coach, you you've just been a winner everywhere you've been, and like I said, not just Langston, but turning Talladega around and getting that program out to where it was, you know, um, just having magnificent seasons. And then you come to Langston and you do the same thing. Now, what I want people to know about this is that Coach Wright is turning around HBCU cultures, and he is turning those programs around. Coach, what, look, they've had other coaches there that haven't gotten the job done. What makes you so effective at HBCUs that you feel is your main ingredient?
And I absolutely loved my 7 years of Talladega and here at Langston. I think it's a great fit for me personally. Just I want to be somewhere that people care about winning, right? Where there's passion. And I think that's one of my favorite things about coaching HBCU is just how much people care, right? Whether it's alumni, I've been fortunate to work for great administrations that really want to win at a high level. The fan bases at both places has been outstanding. And so, I'm a guy that I don't do a whole lot, right? I don't fish, I don't hunt, I don't golf. I'm a basketball coach, right? For good or bad. And so, I just think the passion at those places has been remarkable. And then just too, also the type of guys that I'm fortunate and blessed to coach at these spots. I don't do real well with guys that have been privileged, that have been given a lot throughout their life. Kind of growing up, man, I think I had in some ways, man, kind of had to grow up hard. And so, and I relate to a lot of the experiences I think that a lot of our guys have went through. And, I think God's really prepared me to coach at HBCUs. And so I've absolutely loved it.
All right.
You know what? You've been successful. We said that, but what role do your assistants play, and what responsibilities do you allow them to have?
Man, I have had unbelievable assistant coaches throughout my career. So, if you look at the last few assistant coaches we've had, Chris Vincent, obviously is the head women's coach at Langston. Went 31-3 last year in his first year. Danny Neville, a guy that was a proven head coach at Jamestown University. I had some unfortunate things happen at Jamestown. Just wanted another chance to coach and came here, and now he's the head coach at Rocky Mountain College. He's one of the best coaches in the country.
Wow.
Tim Ward, one of my assistants at Talladega College. He is the head coach at Austin P now. Steve Ayala, assistant at Talladega, and he went on St. Edward's University, the top assistant there. And so, man, guy John Warren that's played for me for 3 years. We've coached together for 5. He's had opportunities. Really kind of like my son. We're very close. So and those guys make me look a lot better than really. I've been very fortunate, very blessed. Not only are they great people, but great coaches that love young men. And so that has been a huge, huge, huge part of any success that we've been able to have.
So, when you watch your team play, what do you hope fans and opponents immediately recognize about your squad?
I hope that people see, how much we care on the defensive end of the floor. Year in and year out, we're one of the, I think, but you're looking at the numbers, the best defense in the country because it's important to them. Beyond that, I want them to see a team that plays together, that's unselfish, that plays for one another, and, that has a great deal of discipline, right? Like, I think there's a certain sense, sometimes people think that HBCUs roll the balls out there and there's not a lot of discipline. And so I think that's one of the big compliments that we get when people watch us, just how disciplined we are, especially on the defensive end of the floor. We don't turn the ball over a lot. I think our teams the last 4 years have averaged under 10 turnovers a game collectively. And so I think, again, that's a lot of things that really help you win. But those are some things that are really big into our identity and just what we believe, is going to help us win the national championship.
Yeah, coach. Speaking of national championships, you're always right there on the precipice. I know we're going to get there. I just know we're going to get there. But let me ask you this, coach, because are you going to let someone else get the Sooner Athletic Conference Coach of the Year? Because something tells me they're going to try and get some of the school to hire you away, and we want to keep you at Langston because Tab, he is dominating NAIA. It, I, it's just crazy, crazy good. But coach, we're getting to development being more than just skill. What's your approach to getting the players to grow year by year?
So for us, and this is kind of, I guess, my mission, um, being a head coach. I know I wanted to coach college basketball when I was 14 years old. And obviously, man, I love winning. I love competing. But more than anything, I think I want to, help young men reach their goals and their dreams. Just really develop holistically, right, as men. And so, when I think player development, I think, to be honest with you, I think it's very little about guys' skills on the basketball court. I think it's teaching guys how to be successful life after basketball. And we recruit mostly transfers, right? I mean, we kind of always have. For me at the NAIA level, now all my friends in Division I kind of live in the portal, and I'm like, yeah, man, it's kind of how we've always done it, right? And
Right.
top NAIA teams. So I feel like if we're doing too much player development from a skill set standpoint, we're probably not doing our job as recruiters, just because we're many 1 and 2 year guys. So that's, I think, just getting our guys to grow as men. And really, I think the most important lesson that I can teach them as a head coach is how to be unselfish. Because if they get how to be unselfish, right, that's one day going to help them become better fathers, better husbands, just better members of society.
Coach, you touched on recruitment. Kevin, Coach was an outstanding recruiter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Matter of fact, some people probably mad with him getting the number one point guard in the country. But in JUCO now, Coach, just all the time that you spent recruiting, how do you think that helped you become the coach that you are today?
Oh man, so it's a crazy story. So my mentor, Jim Saya, I was worked for him at Fresno Pacific, and Coach Saya was the top assistant at UCLA for, I believe, 7 years, and then was actually the interim head coach at USC for a little bit. So,
Wow.
and I was already there. The head coach that had hired me left, so in comes Pac-10, really big name on the West Coast. And it's kind of a God thing. He ends up keeping me on. And so our first staff meeting, I'll never forget this. He's like, Coach, come on, man, shut the door. So I sit down. He said, man, I'm gonna make this really simple. He said, you're a young guy. He said, I like your passion. He said, if you want a career in college basketball, you need to be a hell of a recruiter, and you'll always have a job. And so, at 24 years old, man, that is always, really, really stuck with me. And you never see a jockey carry a horse across the finish line, right?
Right.
It doesn't matter how good of a coach you are, how good of a coach you think you are. If you don't have really good players, you're in trouble. And so,
Exactly.
I think, for us, we try to, allocate as much of our resources as we can into getting the best players that we can. I tell our staff all the time, we don't want NAIA players, right? Like, everybody has those. We want guys that should not be here. We want Division I caliber guys that maybe something happened, whether it's academics or, maybe had a rough patch in their life, or they just hadn't found the right fit. And so, that's been obviously a huge part of the success that we've been able to have.
I listened to your recruiting stories, and I just think about how much those must have benefited you when you're continually getting guys out of the portal, right? And like you said, they may have little baggage here, little baggage there. How do you think? Because we're talking about preparing them as men. How do you do like individualize some of that stuff?
You know, first thing, in the recruiting process, man, I try to be as honest and transparent as I can, right? What our program is, if you come here, the things you're going to like, things you're probably not going to like, the things that are hard. I tell every recruit that comes in, it's going to be the hardest thing that you've ever done in life. So,
Mm-hmm.
But more than that, it's just, I think coaching is having relationships. Players know that you really love them and you really care about them, then you're going to be able to find a way to get the best out of them.
Yeah, and I want to kind of build. Go ahead.
No,
I
you go,
just want
Kev.
to, yeah, I just want to build on the advantages of being in Oklahoma, like being pretty much the epicenter of the country. It's equal distance all places. Has that helped you or slowed you recruiting? You think?
Oh man, it's been great. I'm from the great state of Texas. Right now, I don't go around proclaiming Oklahoma. I got to kind of keep. I'm a Longhorn. I went to the University of Texas. But man, being close to home is awesome. Obviously, we're 3 hours away from DFW, where I grew up at. But man, again, being the only HBCU in Oklahoma, I think is a very powerful niche, right? And I think so much about being successful, whatever institution you're at in college athletics, it's finding your niche. And so for us, I think, that has been a huge advantage, and honestly, Oklahoma's basketball, I think it's underrated. I think there is some,
Yeah.
gyms, a lot of really good high school coaches, a lot of really good junior college coaches. Like Oklahoma doesn't get enough credit for being a really good basketball state.
Yeah, interesting. One more thing, Phil, and I'll let you go.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna put this plug in right here. So we got an event coming out to Kansas City, and we're bringing 7 Texas schools to an event called the Noble at Oak Park in Kansas. So I want to get you the opportunity to get out there to Oak Park and get a chance to visit with you, because we're bringing some Oklahoma teams to that event.
Wow.
And I think Norman North is one of them. I'm in charge of getting the schools together.
Okay.
But so now I'm excited because it is the opportunity that Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas will all be playing each other.
Man, that's awesome. That sounds like a great event.
Go ahead, Phil. I stop now.
Coach has talked about, the support in the gym and all. Coach, this is how I know that you are an outstanding recruiter. I'm from Langston, so nobody can say I'm disparaging anything because Kevin knows how much I love Langston. Coach, you're in the wilderness. What are some of the reactions you get from some of your recruits when they first step foot on campus and have to go through the village?
Man, you know what, Phil? I think the thing that makes Langston special is, right, we kind of are like our own community, right? And again, man, I think from actually on campus at Langston, you can get anywhere you want, right? Stillwater's 25, 30 minutes. You can get downtown Oklahoma City in 40 minutes. Like,
exactly.
I think there's, man, a lot of advantages, right, to where we're at. And again, our vision in recruiting is, right, number one, we're trying to win a national championship, right? Number two, your chance to play at an HBCU, right? The only HBCU in the state of Oklahoma. Obviously, academically, our guys have done really, really well. We've had 24 out of our 26 seniors graduate since I've been the head coach here at Langston. And then, I think I've coached 57 guys now throughout my career that have went on to play professionally after college. And so,
right, overseas, yeah.
Oh, and then if you get a recruit to come on a game night at the Den, man, when our students are in, hey, there is nothing like it. I mean, that is a special feeling. And so the fact that maybe you are a little isolated, a little secluded, doesn't matter a whole lot if you
can. But no, Coach. But Coach, it's amazing that you identified the same thing that I grew up with. People would say, how did you live there? And I'd say, we've got Oklahoma State University 20 minutes away, OU 40 minutes away. I can get to Central State in 25. So everybody knows you can go into all of that action and then just come back to the most serene and quiet place there is. And you just really identified the same things that we all grew up saying.
Wow. Yeah, it's
You
like the Langston, really special, amazing. In our time here, we've really tried to build our booster club and tried to involve, right, a lot of the community of Guthrie, of Edmond, and so many people come to campus for the first time, and they don't realize, like, our campus is really not, really, it's came a long ways, in the last couple decades. But man, it's a great place.
Well, I was just going to ask about the atmosphere of the game. You kind of brought it up about the den. What's a typical game night when it's rocking and rolling like that? And are you able to get the recruits in on those nights?
Definitely at the end of the season, especially now with the way the NAIA does the national tournament. So it's a 64-team tournament, and now basically the top 16 teams in the country get to host, be an opening round side. And so past couple of years, we've really tried to get recruits to that we've got to host. But man, a typical game night in the den when our students are in session is electric. It's loud, it's rowdy. It is it is one of the coolest environments that I've ever been in. I mean, I think we get better crowds than Oral Roberts and Tulsa. It is a special place. I think our 3 years here, we're 48-2 in the den. Really pissed me off that we've lost twice. We went 33-0 our first 2 years. Last year we lost a couple games at the buzzer, which is not acceptable. But yeah, you better play really well if you're going to come into Langston and have a chance to beat us at home.
But Tab, notice that 33 wins in a row. That's a record. Langston, the 43-44 team did 52 wins in a row at one time, and was the most in NCAA Division II that it said at that point, according to USA Today. So imagine today winning 33 in a row on any level. That's awesome.
That it is. I was sitting there thinking about challenges or whatever, and then it kind of dawned on me what obstacles when you're trying to recruit against bigger schools. Like, what are the things that you utilize to overcome that?
I think the biggest thing is, right, every kid grows up wanting to play Division I college basketball, and hey, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like, but just because someone's at the Division I level doesn't mean they're necessarily a better program. I tell guys all the time in recruiting, if we're really going to be good enough to win a national championship here, we probably have to be able to beat, a third of Division I's out there at least, right? We can't game. So, again, like whoever wins the national championship in the NAIA, man, they would, you put them in any low major conference and they're going to have a great deal of that. So I think for us, right, that is probably the biggest hurdle, is just because oftentimes we are, recruiting against, right, low, really low, high level Division IIs, which, to be honest with you, to me, the top of the NCAA Division II and NAIA, there's no difference, right?
I agree.
I think the average Division II teams are better. The bad Division II teams are better. But if you look at the top 7 or 8 in the country in Division II and NAIA, they're about the same.
And you've kind of made the pitch that I was going to ask for when you're talking to players, because with the new scholarships, with the new portal, well, the portal's been around a little bit. How has that impacted your ability to bring in some guys that you may not have seen? Because I know in San Antonio, we got guys that are getting big time offers from NAIA schools, and they're changing plans.
It's right. I think it's, I think I get asked this a lot, right? Kind of my thoughts on NIL and the portal. And, my answer is pretty simple. It really doesn't matter what I think, right? Like, that's the reality of college right now. So, you better figure it out or you're not going to be any good. And so, for us, I think the biggest difference is used to be, right, in NCAA, if a kid was at a 4-year school, they could only transfer once in their career.
Yeah.
And if they transferred again, they had to go in NAIA. And so we always had a great niche. So every year, we would end up with 8, 9, 10 Division I transfers because of that. And now some of those guys are a little harder to get, which is not necessarily bad, right? I've probably been the least transfer right now, but I think arguably it's the most talented team that that we've ever put together.
Mm-hmm.
Coach, do you focus most of your recruitment in one area of the country, or do you just kind of dabble into all the sections?
So in our 3 years, we have had players from 23 different states. So we really do recruit nationally,
Yeah.
and I think some people think that is a challenge, but for me, I think it's really cool when you get a group of guys together that almost none of them, right, are from here, from Oklahoma. So I think it's really fun experience. I think it kind of helps understand why they're here at Langston.
Yeah, talking about your roster and how much you like it right now. What are a couple of returning players that the country needs to know about to watch? Because I'm I'm interested in that.
So we only have one returning scholarship player.
Wow.
Last year we went 26-8. Lost in the Sweet 16. A lot of places that's really, really good. But
we lost you there, Coach.
Man.
We didn't get to hear you. The last things you said, you broke up.
Oh, you guys got me still?
Yeah.
You had broken up on what you were saying to Kevin's last question.
Yeah. So again, last year we went 26-8. Here at Langston, that's not good enough, right? Our first 2 years we went 66-5, and our team last year did some good things, but man, I'm glad that we get a fresh start, that we have a new group of guys. Cam McCoy is our one returner forward that kind of plays the 4-5 for us. Man, great young man, high character guy, works hard. I think he's going to have an outstanding senior season. And then we have some other returners that, man, are really great culture guys that are great, very important pieces of our program. But I think this year most of our guys that are playing big minutes for us are going to be the 12 new guys that we've brought in.
All right.
Yeah, I've been scrolling, seeing your commitment flyers and commitment posts, and I gotta say, some of those guys look pretty damn physically gifted. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I saw some of them in person.
Oh yeah, you sure did, didn't you? What do your players you think felt they remember the most about the time once they graduate?
So,
You know,
for me, I want it to be the overall experience that they've had, right? Like it's going to be the ups and the downs with their teammates. It's going to be the times they were really, really challenged, right? And they were able to meet those challenges. I think our teams have traditionally, man, been really, really, really super close. We're really intentional about team building. We do a lot are unique that maybe some other programs don't do to kind of, again, because we do get so many 1 and 2 year guys typically. And so I just think those relationships that they have are lifelong. And again, I always tell our guys, right, at the end of the day, nobody's going to remember how many points you scored, how many rebounds you averaged a game. Probably not if you started or came off the bench, right? They're going to remember the success, right, that our team has. And so I think that, really special when guys leave and they have those relationships, those friendships for life.
Coach,
Yes.
you just mentioned that about team building, and you get people from all over the country. You have a short amount of time really to get them to bond, right? Why do you think you've been so successful at being able to do that?
Well, Phil, we don't give them a whole lot of choice, man. Right? Like, and it's crazy, right? Like, I mean, in every single guy's locker, we have a saying, right? It's not about me, it's about us. And so,
Yeah.
if you're going to be selfish, if you're not going to be a guy that's going to be a great teammate, you're not going to last. So, right? Like, we don't have guys that bitch and complain what position they play, how many touches they get, how many shots they get. Right, like we're all about, from a basketball standpoint, winning games. Only
Right.
thing that matters, right, is winning and losing. It's not about you. And so, that's important. Again, you guys touched on having great assistant coaches, right? Like, I always tell our guys, right, if you guys come in and you like me every day, I'm not doing my job. I'm probably a soft ass head coach. We're not going to win anything, right? But I want our guys to know that I love them. Done playing for us, we'll be friends for the rest of our lives. But my job as a coach here is to push them and help them get to a place that they couldn't have gone without that accountability.
Coach, you just mentioned about your coaching staff. You just brought in a new coach. Talk a little about him.
Man, Kevin Carwer. We worked together at Angelo State. He worked for Chris Beard there. Man, Coach is, one, he's an unbelievable human being. Two, he is just a guy that's gifted in every area, right? He's a great recruiter. Man, he has a great basketball mind. He builds unbelievable relationships, right, with young men. He's great with technology, which I am not. Coach is literally good at everything across the board. So for us to be able to go in and get a mid-major Division I assistant that spent the last 4 years at UTEP, I think, says a lot about where our program is right now.
Yeah, that's amazing. Phil, this is your day, so I'm gonna let you start on the way out.
Look, it's been fantastic. It's been awesome. I mean, look, we could have gotten Roy Williams to come on the show. Krzyzewski was willing to come out of retirement. We're going for Chris Wright, coach of the mighty Lions. I am telling you, Kevin, you just don't know how much of an honor this is, Coach, for us to have you here. I am so appreciative of all that you've done for my alma mater, and it's just been fantastic what you and your coaching staff and the players are doing there.
Phil, I thank you guys enough for your kind words. It's very humbling. Obviously, we want to do a good job in our alumni. I think Langston is a special place. One day we're going to win.
Well, I'm definitely going to be at a game. I will definitely see you at a game this year, Coach.
Hey, I appreciate it. You guys are welcome anytime. Again, we thank you for the coverage, and you guys have been awesome. Thank you.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Thank you so much.
Again, that's Coach Chris Wright of the mighty Langston Lions. See you at the Den.
L's up. Let's go, fellas.
You know it. L's up, baby.
All right.
Thank you, Coach.
Hey, guys, I appreciate you guys.